Hey everybody, Tony D and Little Joan here with a different kind of screenwriter's rant. I want to compare two trailers and talk about both of them. So we're going to talk about Sweet Girl, starring Jason Momoa, and No Man of God, starring Elijah Wood. All right, so smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Please check out my books. Links in the description. Wokistan, a novel, now available as an audiobook. Hollywoke, another novel, political satire, and of course the Pineys, books 1 through 6, comedy horror in South Jersey. Book 7 dropping this month. Join me at Sunrose Bookstore in Ocean City, New Jersey on July 15th, 10 to noon, for a book signing if you're in the South Jersey area. But let's get into it. Okay. So I got a lot of videos recently and a lot of stuff to do, so I thought I'd combine these two movies because I thought they provide an interesting contrast, even though they're kind of very similar movies. So Sweet Girl is Jason Momoa, Aquaman, Drago, as a guy who, well, it's very melodramatic. It's a revenge movie where a guy's wife gets sick. She needs medicine. The pharmaceutical companies cut her off or stop making it, and then it's all about corruption and him getting his revenge on the pharmaceutical companies, and they send goons to fight him somehow. Someone does. So it's a big production, I'll say, right? I mean, Jason Momoa, he's the big guy right now. He's very well known. He's in a lot of movies. It's from Netflix. Netflix is pouring money into projects, and look, honestly, the movie looks okay, but it looks a little preachy, and it looks very big, right? So, it's one thing to make like a take a Crichton book and redo it so you could talk about the pharma industry and how awful they are. It's another thing to then make the pharma guys, I don't know, send goons that kill people who investigate too much. It seems a little bit of a stretch. Like, they don't have to, if they had to do that, I don't think pharma companies would get away with half of the stuff they do. But I kind of like the sentiment despite that. But I think it's a little overblown, a little overproduced. That being said, I think it could be a good movie. So the first act is, his wife is dying, and now she dies, and probably at the end of the first act, he realizes the pharmaceutical companies are to blame. He goes after them, does some investigation. He gets some warnings. Next thing you know, his daughter's involved, and so it's like the nice thing about it, it's about a father-daughter revenge film. And so just like in all revenge films, it all kicks up in the high gear in the second act. They start investigating and people come after them, and it goes back and forth. And then the third act is a big confrontation of some kind where either they get killed or he gets killed or sacrifices himself to save his daughter, or maybe they kill the pharmaceutical company. I don't know. Now compare that to No Man of God. Now, granted, this is based on Ted Bundy, but it's kind of similar in that it's a bit of a thriller because Ted Bundy is a famous serial killer and this guy's interviewing him. And it's a dated movie, takes place in the 80s, so thus the hair and the clothes and whatever. But the production is more low-key, right? It's more low-key, it takes its time, doesn't have a lot of action in it, obviously. But they could make this movie very exciting, right? If they wanted to. They probably could. Like, if you switched Elijah Wood and put him in the Sweet Girl movie, and then took Jason Momoa and made him, this guy, it would make it a different movie, right? And because Jason Momoa would be the star, they would probably pour money into this and want big production action scenes. But because it's Elijah Wood, who, he's a fairly big star, but, he's not the guy of the moment, and he's got kind of a different look to them. Again, these movies aren't exactly the same, but I just find it's interesting the contrast here. This is more low key, right? So, but it's got like nice detail. It's more subtle and nuance. I feel like the Sweet Girl movie's kind of beating you over the head with the plot points, whereas this movie's more subtle. It's more nuanced. It's about the nature of evil. There's Robert Patrick, the second Terminator, coming. Why don't you take care of Bundy, second Terminator? So this is about the nature of evil. They're trying to get Bundy to confess to all his murders before he's executed, is the thrust of this movie. And since it's based on a real story, it's a lot more grounded, right? Whereas Sweet Girl is, it's pretty big, right? I already kind of feel the premise kind of is a little shaky. It's a little blown out of proportion. Whereas this, it's already based on a true story, so you only have to follow, I assume, the book that this is based on. And man, the guy who's playing Bundy looks just like him, doesn't he? It looks like him. If you ever seen a picture of Ted Bundy. And didn't Zac Efron play Ted Bundy in that one miniseries? He looked like him too. I don't know how they do that. Maybe it's a little very subtle CGI. Maybe this guy was just cast because he looks like Bundy. Kind of a narrow casting range. But, this movie is more about, I think, people. And the other movie seems to be more about big, eventy type things. And I'm not saying either movie is better or worse than the other. I just want to note the contrast. And, as screenwriters, we write different things. So this movie would be all about those subtle details and the characters, whereas the other movie would be about cool chases and car chases. How does he get out of this one? And what clever plot twists. And, you wouldn't be so much about the acting, although you want good acting. You want bigger stunts, big production. This would be more about the acting, right? Because Elijah Wood, he's considered, not to knock Jason Momoa. I mean, he's okay. But he's not considered, like, critically acclaimed Jason Momoa yet. And I say yet because when he gets older, he's been in enough movies and keeps working on his acting. He might very well get an Oscar nod for something. Who knows? But he's at that stage where he's just good looking, and now he's in action films. And I love that stage of actors. I think, I was saying, I was trying to think of his name the other day, and I think I said it in my review of Mr. Corman. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I think he's in the wrong movies. I don't think he should be in those quirky drama movies yet. He's a young guy. He's fit. He should be in action movies. I would love... There's a guy who could be young Indiana Jones, right? He kind of could fit that role. I mean, he did it for Looper, which I thought was a decent flick. I would like to see him more gun-toting from Joseph Gordon-Levitt before he gets too old and he already is doing all these drama pieces. But anyhow, checking out the credits for No Man of God, written by Kit Lesser, directed by Amber Seeley. I'm not seeing based on the book. But first act, Bundy's gonna die. They call in a new guy. He, Bundy messes with him. At first, he thinks he probably gets over on him, but then turns out he's manipulating him. He lies to him. He embarrasses him. Then there was a scene in the trailer where Bundy refers to him as his best friend, but it's all manipulation because Bundy is, he's a homicidal maniac. I mean, he's a sociopath of the worst kind. So everything's a manipulation with a guy like that. Or is it? And that's probably what the movie explores. And then, the second act, F you, Bundy, I hope you die, blah, blah, blah. And then by the third act, it's, time's ticking away, and then he goes in there and maybe gets him to confess a few more murders to put to rest some of the family. But, at that point, you're dealing with a guy who's going to die and doesn't care about human life. So I don't remember if Bundy ever made any last-minute confessions. I'm not like a person who follows serial killers all that closely. I mean, like everybody else, they're kind of fascinating up to a point, and for a while you get into like true crime stuff, but ultimately they're kind of sad people when you really read about them. If you read read that book about the profiler, the guy who, oh gosh, what was it called? You really find out that these guys are very sad people. But anyhow, that's it for Screenwriter's Rant. Thought I'd try something different this time. Check us out on BitChute and Rumble for our other 2 videos today. We'll see you in the next one.